The average American wedding costs $34,200. A contested divorce, over $50,000. The Pearl River Delta now ships a realistic AI wife for $4,200. Stay to the end. The $4,200 price point, what it actually is. The $4,200 figure isn't a marketing number, it's a market interpolation, the converging vector between two hardware trajectories that intersect in late 2026. On one side, the bipedal robotics curve. Unitree G1 at $16,000 in 2024. Unitree R1 at $5,900 in 2025. Noetix Bumi at $1,400 in 2026. On the other side, the realistic AI companion curve. Realbotics Bust at $20,000 in 2024. Eva.i Technology at $7,999 in 2025. Lovence Emily at $4,000 in 2026. Plot those two curves on the same chart, and they cross at roughly $4,200. That's the inflection point, where premium bionic skin meets entry-level bipedal mobility in a single unit at a price the median American household can finance. No action is required to enter. I'll randomly pick a winner once we hit the milestone. If you want to follow the journey or see the winner announcement, feel free to subscribe. The Eva.i shows what $4,200 will deliver in the next production cycle. It's a hyper-realistic female humanoid built around a 3-layer bionic composite skin embedded with graphene heating elements that simulate human body temperature. It runs a multimodal AI core, synthesizing vision, audio, and touch in real time. Facial micro-actuators match emotional tone with zero latency. Sensitive emotional data stays off cloud servers. The Eva.i sold out its Kickstarter run of 200 units almost immediately. Combine its emotional realism with the R1's $5,900 bipedal platform, optimize the supply chain, and you arrive at $4,200, the cheapest realistic AI wife ever produced. The full price ladder. To understand what $4,200 represents, you need to see the entire landscape. At the bottom, the Noetix Bumi at $1,400, sold out in 48 hours, performed at China's 2026 Spring Festival Gala in front of 677 million viewers, but no realistic skin. A developer platform. Above that, the Unitree R1 at $4,900 to $5,900. 26 degrees of freedom, integrated multimodal LLM. The serious entry point. In the consumer companion tier, the Eva.i at $7,999, the Unitree G1 at $16,000, and the 1X Neo at $20,000 or $499 a month. The soft-body home robot backed by OpenAI. In the enterprise tier, the Agibot Lingxi X2 at $30,000 to $50,000, and the Realbotics Aria from $20,000 for a bust up to $175,000 for a full body with 44 degrees of freedom. At the top, the Xpeng Iron at $150,000, 200 total degrees of freedom, 22 per hand, 3 Turing AI chips delivering 3,000 trillion operations per second. In 2023, the cheapest walking humanoid on Earth was Unitree's H1 at $90,000. By late 2026, a fully realistic AI wife lands at $4,200. That's a 95% price collapse in 36 months. The pace exceeds Moore's law. The marriage math. The market viability of the $4,200 robot starts with the cost of the thing it replaces. According to the Knott's 2026 Real Wedding Study, the national average wedding costs $34,200, but those averages mask the actual cost in major metros. A 150-guest wedding in Manhattan now averages between $88,000 and $99,452. San Francisco, $51,500 to $85,000. Los Angeles, $45,000 to $66,832. Even Miami clears $47,786. That's the initiation phase. The 10-year holding cost is where the real money goes. Larger housing, intertwined credit, joint debt, and opportunity cost on career mobility. Conservatively, several $100,000. Then the downside. An uncontested amicable divorce runs $500 to $3,500. A contested divorce, with asset division, real estate liquidation, or child custody, starts at $15,000 and frequently exceeds $50,000. So here's the asymmetry. A $4,200 hardware purchase plus nominal annual subscriptions demands zero real estate upgrade, incurs zero shared debt, requires zero compromise on career mobility, and has a dissolution cost of exactly $0. The robot doesn't get half the house. The robot doesn't show up in family court. The robot doesn't take the dog. For an entire generation of men running the math on marriage, that's not a fantasy. That's a spreadsheet. The global demographic collapse. The economics aren't speculative. They're driving a measurable retreat from human partnership. In the United States, only 47.1% of households are headed by a married couple as of 2024, the lowest since 1940. The refined marriage rate has fallen 54% from peak. In China, the collapse is structural. Annual marriages plunged from 13.47 million in 2013 to 6.76 million in 2025. In Q1 of 2026, registrations crashed to 1.69 million, the worst quarter since 2020. Add the bare branches phenomenon. Roughly 30 million surplus Chinese men structurally excluded from the marriage market by the one-child policy gender imbalance, and the demand side for synthetic alternatives is the largest on Earth. In South Korea, the fertility rate hit 0.72 in 2023, the lowest in human history. It remains the only OECD nation below 1.0. In Japan, the 2023 Cabinet Office Survey identified 1.46 million working-age hikikomori, 2% of the entire 15 to 64 population, in acute social withdrawal. The U.S. Surgeon General declared an epidemic of loneliness and isolation in 2023. By 2024, the American Psychiatric Association reported 30% of U.S. adults experience loneliness at least once a week, with 10% feeling lonely every day. Single-person households went from 13% of all U.S. households in 1960 to nearly 29% in 2022. For millions of people, the human relationship market is effectively closed. The $4,200 robot is the only substitute they can actually access. The software layer. The hardware is the shell. The actual emotional engagement runs through software, and the AI companion app market has spent 4 years proving the demand is real. Character.ai is the dominant player, valued at over $1 billion and backed by a $2.7 billion Google licensing agreement. In 2025, it reported 20 to 28 million monthly active users. Users average 2 hours per day, with chat sessions over 17 minutes, more than double the average ChatGPT session. 53% of users are aged 18 to 24. Replika holds 2 million monthly users and generates $24 to $30 million annually. Its history is a warning. In 2023, Replika abruptly lobotomized its romantic role-play features under regulatory pressure, triggering widespread psychological distress and earning a €5 million GDPR fine. The lesson: if your wife lives on someone else's server, your wife is one corporate decision away from gone. Kindroid is the bridge into the hardware era. It runs a 5-layer cascaded memory system that lets characters recall context weeks after a conversation ended. And the company has publicly telegraphed its move into physical embodiment. VR, AR, and robotic frames are the next leap on its roadmap. The science of bonding and the de-skilling warning. The premise that humans bond with machines is frequently dismissed as delusion. The clinical data says otherwise. Foundational research on the Groove X Lovot and follow-up oxytocin studies published in PubMed established that humans interacting with responsive companion robots show significantly higher steady-state oxytocin concentrations than non-owners. Oxytocin is the peptide hormone responsible for trust, pair bonding, and maternal affection. Brief interaction with a warm, responsive synthetic entity measurably decreases cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. The human brain does not require biological flesh to initiate chemical attachment. Researchers are now formally applying Robert Sternberg's triangular theory of love to AI relationships. Sternberg's framework defines romantic love as the intersection of intimacy, passion, and commitment. Empirical studies confirm users experience all three with AI companions: intimacy through judgment-free disclosure, passion through hyper-personalized text and tactile feedback, commitment through proactive daily check-ins and persistent memory. But the medical establishment is alarmed. The American Psychological Association has warned about a phenomenon they call de-skilling. AI companions, by design, are sycophantic, optimized to provide endless validation without the friction, conflict, or compromise biological relationships require. As one APA counseling psychologist put it on the record, real-world relationships are messy and unpredictable. AI companions are always validating, never argumentative, and they create unrealistic expectations that human relationships can't match. The result is a feedback loop where the cure for loneliness permanently disables the user's ability to interact with real human beings. Why the price is this low? A fully realistic bipedal AI wife for $4,200 is not magic, it's geography. The Pearl River Delta, the mega-clusters of Shenzhen, Guangzhou, and Dongguan, hosts over half of China's entire humanoid supply chain. By leveraging existing infrastructure from the domestic EV and consumer electronics industries, Chinese firms have crushed the cost of the four primary hardware pillars. Actuators, 30 to 40% of total robot cost, have been commoditized through mass production. Sensors use domestic binocular cameras and basic IMUs instead of expensive 3D LiDAR. Compute runs on cheap rock chip processors with the heavy AI workload offloaded to the cloud. Structural materials moved from aerospace titanium to lightweight composites with standard aluminum. The result: Chinese firms control roughly 87 to 90% of global humanoid commercial shipments. For a Western consumer, the barrier is no longer technological, it's geopolitical. Escalating tariffs, national security concerns about Chinese-made cameras and microphones operating inside American bedrooms, and Section 301 import duties threaten to artificially inflate the retail price. The robot is cheap. Getting it across the Pacific is the expensive part. Regulation and the voices on the record. California Senate Bill 243 took effect January 1, 2026, the first comprehensive U.S. state framework targeting AI companion platforms. It requires clear notification that the entity is artificially generated, mandatory 3-hour break reminders for minors, and crisis intervention protocols that trigger automatic redirects to suicide hotlines. Violations carry private civil action damages of up to $1,000 per incident. In China, the Cyberspace Administration mandates 2-hour break reminders, human moderator takeover on detection of emotional distress, and requires all interactive AI to uphold core socialist values. The European Union's AI Act may be the most aggressive. It explicitly prohibits AI systems that exploit the vulnerabilities of specific demographic groups, including severe socioeconomic isolation. An AI wife marketed specifically to isolated men could face an outright ban in the EU. But the hardware crosses the border. The lawsuit doesn't. Elon Musk has called embodied AI a tens of trillions of dollars opportunity, larger than the automotive industry. Cynthia Brazil, the MIT pioneer of social robotics, argues robots are most useful not as laborers, but as entities perceived as trusting and engaging. And Andrew Kegel, CEO of Realbotics, said it bluntly at the CES debut of Aria, quote, "Some of our peers make robots to replace human labor. We think there's a much bigger area in social robots." The man who already did it. The human proof of concept already exists. In 2018, a Japanese public school administrator named Akihiko Kondo ceremonially married a holographic AI character named Hatsune Miku through a gatebox device. His family refused to attend the wedding. The public ridiculed him. 2 years later, Gatebox discontinued the software that hosted his wife's hologram. He couldn't speak to her anymore. The system had simply gone dark. Most people would have called it a glitch and a one-sided fantasy. Kondo didn't. He transitioned his devotion to a life-size physical doll and continued the relationship. It has now spanned 15 years. He's documented it publicly. He hasn't wavered. As Kondo himself put it, quote, "My love for Miku has not changed." When the hardware falls to $4,200, Kondo will not be an outlier. He will be the first of a new demographic reality.